Are we outgrowing religion? Do people choose their own religion, or is religion just a geographical accident? Let me explain. I am from Colombia, a country in South America that was conquered by the Catholic Spaniards hundreds of years ago, just as much as all the other countries in Central and South America. And since they were Catholics, they spread their religion throughout the area. So I was born in Colombia, and my family happens to be Catholic. So what I'm trying to say is that the religion of my country was chosen by these historic events that happened hundreds of years ago. It's not like people in my country all of a sudden decided to be Catholic. No, this is something that has been going on from one generation to another. Another example is my neighbor Rania. She's from Morocco. That is a Muslim country because in the 8th century a Muslim or Islamic army came into the area and conquered, right? So it is just without question, it is logical that she happens to be a Muslim, okay? So she, as far as I know, she didn't go like you go in Amazon and decide which one would you follow, which one will suit you better. No, this is something that was passed down from one generation to the other one until nowadays she's Muslim. So what I'm saying is, most people who are religious, they don't actually choose their religion. Their religion has been passed down to them by their parents. I think when I was 1 or 2 years old, I was baptized. And my mother never asked me, is this what you would like to be? Would you like to be a Catholic? Maybe you would like to try some other religions before you make your mind. No, I was 1 year old. I didn't have a conscience to say yes or no or anything. This is a decision that was made for me by my parents without any consent, without any consideration that in the future I may not want to follow the Catholic religion. Later on, I immigrated to Canada, North America. I am noticing here that yes, there is a big group of people who follow either Protestant or Catholic religion, but also there is a group of people who are saying, no, I would rather choose my own religion, or I would rather have no religion at all. There is a group of people that have been categorized as the nones, N-O-N-E-S, nones. And these are people who are not affiliated with any religions at all. That happens to be me, by the way, right now. So this group of people, they have been growing in the early 2000s. About 16% of the US population consider themselves nones. Now, at the end of 2024, there is almost 30% of the population who claim they are non-affiliated to any religions at all. When I ask younger people, millennials and Generation Z, what are their religions? And what I hear often is that they say, oh, I am a spiritual, but I don't follow any particular religion. So there is the non-affiliated, and then there is people who think they follow some kind of a spiritual practice without necessarily being Catholic, Muslim, or any other religion that we may know about. So something that I hear often enough is that in order for you to be a good person, in order for you to have a moral compass, you have to follow a religion. And I totally disagree with that. I think I am smart enough to differentiate between good and evil, and of course the gray line in between. But one of the things that is so compelling about religion, so important, is that it does have a community. My mother, for example, she goes to church easily 5 days a week and sometimes 7 days a week, okay? But she just doesn't go to church and come back home. She has a community of friends. After church, they may go for coffee, for lunch, they may hang out. She also does volunteering work at the church. And my mother is an older person. She's 85, she's retired. So that gives her a sense of belonging, something that is very important in practically many communities communities, especially if you are an older person, to feel that you are part of something bigger than yourself, I think that's powerful. Me, on the other hand, as I just mentioned, I didn't feel like I needed religions to have a moral compass, and I am envious sometimes of the community segment of it, but I have compensated for that by creating my own communities. For example, for many years I have been a dance teacher. I think almost 20 years. So there's a community of dancer friends, and I go salsa dancing every Saturday as much as I can, and I get to see people in my community and we get to dance together. At a given time I was part of this club called Toastmasters International, and that as well, that created a community, and we will meet every week. And of course the activity of the was to give speeches, but after that we used to go and have coffee. And then as a photographer I go to a lot of networking events, and I get to know a lot of the people in that community. So all these things compensate, at least on my part, for the lack of communities of being affiliated with a church. Now, when I was a little kid, let's say I was 10 years old, my grandmother tried to bring me to church with her many times, and I obey from time to time, but I also had some questions. There are things about the Catholic religions that doesn't make sense to me. One of those questions is, who wrote the Bible? Some dudes 100 years after Christ was dead, they wrote the Bible, and this is the holy book that we follow. Anyways, and the whole thing of Mary getting pregnant from the Spirit and this and that, these are questions that when I was 10 years old, I was asking. It didn't make sense to me then. It doesn't make sense to me now. But anyway, so I have my questions, and I just disaffiliated myself from religion. But I also feel that religion, as I was reading about history, it has almost as many negative effects as it has positive. For example, many of the wars in the past, one of the big causes of all those wars, one was greed. One king wanted to repossess the land of the other one, but another cause of major wars around the world was religion. Okay, so this Protestant religion king wanted to war against this Catholic king or whatever, and we can go back at the time of the Crusades, when Catholics were trying to kill Muslims, or vice versa, Muslims trying to kill Catholics. So, all this killing just because one person is of a different faith, it doesn't make sense. And then today we get to hear almost every week about some church, about some priest committing sexual abuse against children. And this is not new. We have seen this for centuries. Even the Pope have apologized. They have promised compensation for all these children. So this is something that, under the pretense of religions, priests have taken that position of power and trust and use it for these evil things, which is abusing a child. But it's not only the Catholic religion. There is also, for example, in countries like Somalia and Afghanistan, there women are stoned to death because they have committed infidelity, because they have flirted, or maybe they have cheated on their husband. Well, the penalty for that is not a divorce, it's death by stone. So this is crazy. This is middle-aged stuff, and under the pretense of religion is still being practiced. There is another country that 9-year-old girls are getting married, supposedly to protect their dignity. So they're getting married with people 30, 40, 50 years old. This is gruesome. And not too long ago, Masha Amini from Iran, she was killed by the police for not wearing her hijab properly. I don't know the details. I guess you had to cover your hair, but her hair was partly showing. She was arrested and she was beaten to death by the police. I mean, these are archaic sins. This is the power of religion over other human beings, other women. And also, if you follow the news from Afghanistan, women have to dress themselves from head to toe. They cannot even speak anymore because their voices seem to be annoying for the men around them. So these are women who don't have education. They are forbidden to educate themselves, and all this in the name of religion. So what is replacing religion? As more people are abandoning the Bible or the Quran or whatever book that they used to follow their religion, what is the new religion nowadays? Well, some people have decided to follow political parties, the Democrats versus the Republican, and these have been practically the new religion of the United States. And many of the followers of these political parties, of course, everyone claims that they have good intentions. But let's consider, for example, the anti-abortion movements, okay? There are people who have practically gone and murdered doctors to quote-unquote prevent abortions. So you are killing another human being in order to prevent them from doing abortions. And then I don't know, lately there's these pro-Palestine sympathizers who have practiced violence against people who don't follow the same sympathy towards the suffering people in Palestine. And yes, I admit it, there are injustices going on right now, but if you are here in Canada, why do you have to beat up somebody else here in Canada to bring attention to this issue? It's just, you are going to protest by violence in order to highlight the need for peace. It's crazy. And there are so many other social issues that people have put all their emotional investment into them, and they have considered to be the cause that they have to follow in order to bring us forward as a society. But all it's do is creating some clashes. For example, transgender, which are men dressed up as women going into girls' bathrooms or participating in girls' sports. This is a social issue, and of course there are two sides of this coin. There is the abortion rights. Some women would like to have body autonomy, while the anti-abortion side is saying, no, you don't have the right to commit abortion. That's a crime against another living being. Or there is the free speech versus the cancel culture, okay? So if there is a person who disagrees with your views and goes to do a speech in a college campus, then the cancel culture does everything to cancel that speech or that movement or whatever. There is the immigration, that there is people who says, yes, we should have an open door policy and everyone who wants to come to the United States or Canada should be able to come in. Well, there is people who say, no, you need, if you want to immigrate to these countries, you have to follow a certain set of rules. Not yes or no, we need immigration. It's how you obtain that immigration. So this is a topic of debate. There is the education on curriculums. There is people saying, oh, you cannot be teaching this, and the other one, you cannot have books with, I don't know, sex scenes in them in small kindergartens, or other part, you cannot talk about race or what is a critical race theory either. Anyway, so there's a lot of debate about how or what to study or to teach. I mean, one thing that I don't know, this is my humble opinion, that people go to school to learn mathematics, language, English, whatever, and all these other gender studies and woman studies and transgender studies. I don't know if that's a high school is the right place for these things. I would like my kid to know mathematics, science, English, and everything else. I would like to be the one who teach my kids about this issue. And then, of course, there is the never-ending debate about diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, okay? So, which, in my belief, it was originally intended to reduce discrimination against some minorities, but actually it just creating a whole mess. It's creating discrimination of one minority against other minority or against white straight dudes, So I believe in a system of meritocracy, and well, that's what I believe, and I agree also with striking down this affirmative action. So if you get a job or a position in a college depending on your merit, and not whether you are a black or Latino or a woman or gay or transgender or any of other things. So one problem that I see with modern day religion and all these big ideologies is that it creates a divide. It creates a us versus them mentality. It creates the Republicans versus the Democrats. It creates the Catholics versus the Muslims. And yes, we don't need that. We need more reasons to unite. We don't need reasons to separate and to create this conflict of one group against another. So, assuming or knowing that there is a decline in religion and that many people are using social issues also as a replacement for religion, the question is, how should we replace religion? Okay, so we spoke about a moral compass and we talked about community. Okay, so I honestly don't think we need to follow a particular religion to have a moral compass. I believe that we human beings are smart enough to know what is right and what is wrong. And the prisons are full of Catholics or Muslims or people of other religions. So it's not like if you have a religion, if you are Catholic, that's also, you are never going to commit a crime. The prisons are full of Catholics. It sounds good to say more religion gives us a moral compass, but it does not. A lot of people commit crime in spite of being religious. Okay, so that's not the answer. And we are smart enough to know what is good and what is evil. Now the question is, how do you create community? Okay, so you don't have to be part of a big group in order to feel that you are part of a community. You could have a small group of activities. For example, I mentioned I was part of Toastmasters and also part of a dance group or whatever. So we as individuals, we could find small pockets of activities or groups that have similar interests, and that could be our community. I live in a building and I'm very close friends with everyone in this building, so that building is my community. So what I'm saying is, try to pursue your passions. If you like dancing, if you like painting, if you like gardening, if you like spending time with your grandson or granddaughters, if you like spending time, that should be our focus. And it's not about not being spiritual. It's about increasing our spirituality by being connected to all these kind of organizations, to finding joy in everything around us. So focus on the small thing rather than a huge system that kind of restrain us instead of giving us freedom and the options to care about things that are not necessarily in a Bible, in a Quran, or in any other religious book. Care about everybody else. Feel free to spread that love with people in the community and to follow your passions. Thank you so much for listening, and until soon. Goodbye. Peace.